I think you launched the Geo Telecom in India, right?
Yeah. Most of the world thinks that AI started when ChatGPT launched. In reality,
You used AI back in 1993?
yes. So this actually was called a mini.
Wow. About how AI is bad for the climate.
That's just how thermodynamics works. Better life quality for the same amount of greenhouse gases or whatever you call it.
So, right now, the kind of environmental impact that AI is creating, do you see that changing over a period of time?
One of the biggest infrastructure projects ongoing all over the world today is making data centers. Those are new data centers. They will require power in order to bring AI to the entire planet. Level of usages that would satisfy. There are already innovations happening.
So, some people are saying that AI is a bubble that will burst.
The actual usage and growth of the technology.
Mm-hmm.
The other is the valuation attached to it.
Okay.
There are probably companies that are overvalued.
That a lot of people are saying stupid AI. I had to change the way I teach after AI was introduced.
At the end of the day, AI is going to create mediocre work. It should be the other way around, right? So we should tame AI.
I'm really concerned that tomorrow I will be like that.
That may or may not be the end of humanity. First, there were calculators, then there were computers, then there was the ability to churn everything internet scale and do and give you search results back from your research paper and all that. And now you can even write a form of the research paper completely
Oh
with
my
AI.
God, don't even start on that.
Yeah. No.
Don't even start on that because there are so many retractions that are happening and which are saying that this is completely AI generated. They are also making up humans. They're doing all kinds of stuff. Is AI a power for good or is AI a power for bad for human civilization?
It depends on the humans. We have AI. We can tap into data that are above and beyond the traditional sources of data, which is have you taken a loan before and repaid?
What about privacy issues then? Hello, so this is the first podcast of Doing Good podcast by Paromita. And our guest for today is Dr. Debarag Banerjee. Debarag is a seasoned executive and thought leader in AI, machine learning, and data science. He is currently the Chief Artificial Intelligence and Data Science Officer at L&T Finance. He has a long history of driving transformative AI initiatives, and he has earlier been global head and data science and AI at Agoda. He was the VPN head of AI and data science at Myntra, which is currently a Flipkart initiative, right?
Yeah, Flipkart, which is partly owned by Walmart.
Right.
Yeah.
And then he was also the data science and AI SVP, which is senior vice president, is it?
Yeah.
At Geo, where his contributions helped really scale AI solutions across business verticals. And I think you launched the Geo Telecom in India, right?
Yeah.
Right. So he has PhD in electrical engineering from Stanford University and master in science, is it, or MTech in biomedical engineering, right?
Yes.
From University of Tennessee. But he's homegrown. I mean, you are from IIT Kharagpur, where you did your electronics and electrical communication engineering. So over this years of your experience, I'm most interested in understanding what AI is doing for today's world. And that is where most of the conversation will go towards. And I'm specifically interested in the work that AI does and how does it impact people and planet in this AI-driven world of today. And AI is becoming, quite controversial, if I might call it that way. I mean, there are people who think that without AI, the world cannot operate anymore. And then there are people who are wooing AI in university convocation addresses and commemoration addresses. So across this, I mean, there are organizations which are actively trying to get AI innovator, and I believe your organization is one of them. And then there is this whole thing about, shaming AI, so to say, or booing AI. So how do you see this evolving and what is happening?
So first of all, thank you, Paromita, for for inviting me to your podcast. Very happy to be here. So yes, so there are many layers and definitions to AI. First of all, today the most of the world thinks that AI started when ChatGPT launched. In reality, the origins go back to 1970s when the early works happened, and then the first neural networks appeared in very late 1980s, early 1990s. In fact, my own first published work goes back to 1993.
So you used AI back in 1993?
Yes, so my first neural networks paper was in 93 at
Okay.
IEEE Journal of Neural
Okay.
Networks. There was
Wow.
one way back then, right?
Okay.
About 30 years.
So
more
what
than
is the
30 years.
difference between AI then and AI now?
Yes. So now, so it went through its early promises. It went through what we call the AI winter, and then when the new generative wave was became popular, right? That's when I think people started using AI outside the pure mathematical community, so to say, where now you see content generators and
So what's
very
the
non-technical
difference?
aspects.
What is the difference between 1993 and 2020? I think 2021 is when ChatGPT came up with its first version, right?
So, first of all, just to give an idea about scale, let's say in 93, it used to take me hours to train one neural network of 25 nodes.
25 nodes?
25 nodes.
Okay.
So that's like, handful of parameters on a machine, which at that time was 486, like before Pentium. Now,
How
today,
big was the machine?
it was about this big. So
Okay.
yeah, with a chip about this
So I
size.
remember at one time there used to be computers which would take the size of rooms.
Yes. So this actually was called a mini,
Oh, okay.
and the entire compute power of that today would be probably a fraction of your smartwatch.
Okay.
Like
So
the
now,
tiniest of fraction.
now what is happening? So
So
from
now-
that 25 nodes, now what are we seeing?
So now you see regularly the state of the art models, whether it's Claude, whether it is the GPT-5 family and all that, they are running trillions of parameters.
Wow.
So every word that you see coming out, there's a trillion operations that happen before that comes out. And they get trained on at least 10 trillion words in their corpuses, plus a lot of other
So the
subsets
scale
that-
has changed. I mean, it has
Yes.
become a completely different
Yes.
scale. So tell me, there is a lot of conversation about how AI is bad for the climate and
Mhm.
how it is. I mean, this scale that you're talking about from 25 to trillions, obviously it is doing something, the
Right.
way it is being done. So the whole conversation about AI being really bad for the planet, what is your take on that?
So, any compute would, of course, consume some power. That's just how thermodynamics works. The question to ask is it overall giving a better life quality for the same amount of greenhouse gases or whatever you call it, or perhaps even lowering it overall or not? If, for example, so imagine a world before Google search. I mean, we don't even have to go to AI, right? And if you wanted to, and before Amazon, if you wanted to, pick a cloth or something, you'd probably have to, take out your car or any form of transportation, burning fossil fuel, going to 5 different stores until you find what you find. And then also you'd probably make a compromise because you only had so many choices to look at. Today, at the press of a button, you give an AI agent your specifications that, oh, I am looking for exactly this kind of thing. Maybe you saw something in a magazine, take a photo, and it goes and crawls and picks up the right thing,
Right.
right budget.
Yeah, so what you are saying is, the cost of going to a shopping mall has reduced. Is that what you are saying?
And that's what environmental impact as well.
That also has an environmental impact. True. But tell me, like, is there any possibility that the space, like I was, I'm not a techie, right? I did not say who I am, although, I am a professor of marketing and social innovation. So, although this work that I'm doing with you today, it's the first podcast, and my university is not involved in this podcast. That's a different issue. But I work on marketing and social innovation. Having said that, we know that, like this huge computers we had, it had then come down to, we can do fair amount of computing in our mobile phones as well right now.
Yes.
Right? So right now, the kind of environmental impact that AI is creating with the infrastructure that it has, do you see that changing over a period of time? Like the way mainframes, and then you had PCs, and then it came down, it was smaller to a mobile. Do you see that changing?
So one of the biggest infrastructure projects ongoing all over the world today is making data centers specifically to run, thousands and thousands of GPUs to run AI, right?
Okay.
So of course, those are new data centers. They will require power, require cooling, and all that. And a lot of the AI models would get run on them. The scale of this is perhaps similar to the type of spend the world went through when upgrading telecom systems from the old make a phone call to browse the whole internet on your phone type of back-end infrastructure that was needed, or the cabling of the whole planet to accommodate the internet, or even
So those were heavy infrastructure.
there
costs,
is a
right?
heavy infrastructure uplift.
So is there a change that you see, or is it going to remain that way?
So this is necessary, right, in order to bring AI to the entire planet at the level of usages that would satisfy the unmet need that is there, which will only continue to grow. The slightly different question, which is how quickly does that compute shrink in terms of its power impact, in terms of its size and all that. So, we know.
Is there anything coming? Can you be Nostradamus here?
So, long ago, right, in the 1980s, when Intel was formed, so Gordon Moore put a little exponential line through a few points, which holds even today, which is that the size of compute, and hence also cost in a way, shrinks by a factor of 2x every 1.5 months.
Okay.
And this is simply by the geometric compression, that meaning if it took somebody, let us say, to make a 5 nanometer for a compute element, a gate of a certain size, then an year and a half later it'll be done in half the size, right? Which also means
So it will come down, is what you're
right.
saying.
So that is one thing. Now, however, that's reduction. Now it does compound, which is the reason why today's computers are so much faster than those old IBM mainframes. But that is only one aspect. There's another thing that is bringing the size down. So at the time when we first, made these transformer-based models, which are now called LLM or GPT, general purpose transformer, to make large language models, the approach to training them was a little bit brute force.
Okay.
And depending on how you compute, a lot of the nodes actually are not particularly useful in the final compute output. And now there are more
So you-
algorithmic techniques.
Do you mean there were more variables than needed? Is it something like that?
There were more variables than needed and at a much higher granularity than needed. And there are techniques that have evolved since then where you can use smaller models to come close to the bigger
Will it
models.
bring down the cost?
It should bring down the cost, and it is in many
Any other
forms.
technology that might be in the
The other thing is today people equate using AI to I have to go hit the cloud to get an answer back, which is how we all experience our AI today, right? But if you think about it, at the end of the day, AI is computing a series of bits. So does your laptop.
okay?
It's just that today the chips in your laptop are not powerful enough to run a model the size of Claude. Now, at some point of time, and there are already innovations happening where, for example, NVIDIA released a new laptop that can run a 170 billion parameter model. Again, not as big as Cloud Opus, but maybe something like the old GPT 3.5 size model would definitely run there, and a lot more advanced or more compact models will also run.
So is it possible to like bring down the size of a data center, for example?
Mhm.
I mean, so that you don't need such huge amount of
Right.
water and stuff.
So I think if we look at the power unit energy needed to compute the output of an intelligent system, let us say, I want to kind of broaden it a little bit beyond just saying LLM, then that cost is coming down, has come down historically, and will continue to come down. At the same time, law of system and the demand and supply, as you bring the cost of that supply of AI down, demand will surge, and demand will surge much faster compared to the unit cost of.
And that is economics. Like
That is economics, which
what
means
about technology? I mean, is there any possibility that it happens in my mobile phone rather than going to a data center?
at some point of time it will.
Is there anything in that line that is happening?
There is. So, like some of the Snapdragon Qualcomm phones have AI accelerators. They're not quite yet, of the level where you can, run a complete model.
Is it going there?
It is going there for certain smaller models.
Okay.
That's where things are at. Already things are close to a point where, let us say, you have a document written in English and you want to translate it to Bengali or Hindi, and you have a little model in your phone that may possibly do that.
So it will
without
not
having-
go to those data centers for that.
The possibility of the technology is getting there.
Okay.
Now, obviously, it needs more than that. It needs right thinking about the application and all of that.
Got it.
Yeah.
So some people are saying that AI is a bubble that will burst, like the .com
Mhm.
that burst. So what is your take on that?
So there are two aspects to a bubble. So one is the actual usage and growth of the technology. The other is the valuation attached to it.
Okay.
When we look at, let us say, the e-commerce volume, right? You'll see from 1995 or so, when people first started ordering pizza from Pizza Hut over the internet kind of thing, to now, it has always grown year over year. Earlier,
But a lot of people lost a lot of money at that time. I mean, it ruined everything, right?
Right. But the interesting thing is that the volume, that the number of billions of dollars of orders placed to do e-commerce over the internet has always grown year over year. Earlier, in those early years, when it started from 1995, it was like hardly $300 million. 2000 is when people ascribed the peak of the bubble. It was about 195 billion or so. Next year it was 240 billion.
So then
After
why?
2001,
Yeah.
after the
So
and
then
year
why did it
so,
fall?
so it actually kept growing. I mean, if
Okay.
you look at the CAGR, the CAGR has always been positive, and now it has almost saturated. So obviously it has tapered down. So the adoption of e-commerce technology had never slowed down.
But
The
people lost
valuation,
money. Yeah.
yes. Now the valuation ascribed to e-commerce companies that went ahead of the curve.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the companies that were trading at that time now no longer exists. But the few that have remained, like
So it's a
Amazon,
churning. Is
yeah,
that what you're saying? That it's like a churning and some will be thrown away in the
yes. So
churning.
there is always creative destruction that happens whenever there is a technology-driven inflection.
So
and
will
we
the
change
AI
way in
bubble,
which we do business.
the AI bubble burst?
Yeah. So there are probably companies that are overvalued, and
Why
there are
are
probably
they?
companies that will not exist few years from now.
Okay.
But there will be companies that crack the business model the right way, bring the right products to the right consumers through the right channels, and they will make an astounding amount of money going forward.
So tell me about, the company that you are right now in. You are using AI in a big way, right?
Mhm.
So I mean, for an entry level job, for an entry level person, how has life changed as an employee because of the AI that you brought in your company?
Right. So we decided almost a year ago that we would want to democratize the use of LLMs in the company. This was at a time when most kind of cautious, older vintage companies in the financial and other spaces were very hesitant to do that. We decided that within all the right information security guardrails, we would allow our own employees to use Gemini. We are on Google Cloud, hence mostly on Google Cloud, so we democratize the use of Gemini to do a
So a
lot.
lot of people are using it right now.
They're using it, and
Did you face resistance?
um, I will say resistance. I mean, I have not seen anybody say that why should I use AI, right?
But we are seeing right now that a lot of people are saying stupid AI. And there is this whole thing of saying that you are forcing me to use AI. I don't want to use AI. I can write things on my own, but I'm getting AI prompts and stuff like that. So where do you see that going? I mean, have you heard things like this? What is your response to it?
So again, there are good ways to use AI, bad ways to use AI, right? Just like anything else. Smart ways to use AI, ways to use AI where you end up losing more than you gain. The other aspect is that I think you're referring to the the commencement
Yes.
speech by somebody and so on and so forth. There is another thing that we have to reconcile to, which is or not we have to rethink. How are we teaching our currently in school generation
Okay.
to be relevant and effective and thriving in an AI
Yeah,
world?
so in this context, I have something to share. I mean, I had to change the way I teach after AI was introduced, right? And what I'm seeing is when I ask my students to do a literature review, something as basic as that, there was a way in which I taught it earlier before ChatGPT was launched. Now, when the same students came back, after ChatGPT, they were saying, "Ma'am, now it can be done so easily," right? Why they said it can be done so easily? The problem that I'm finding is that people are not I mean, they're not thinking critically anymore because it's so easy to fix your language. I mean, now if I ask somebody to write something in class, by pen, the quality I get, and if I take a submission which has to be emailed to me or submitted through Blackboard, it's a completely different thing. I mean, it doesn't look like the same person at all, right? So, are we taking the critical thinking skills away? Like you said, how are we training? So, what can I do as a professor? Or what are you seeing? I mean, when you are taking entry level graduates in your organization, are you seeing that they're able to use their critical thinking, or is it all AI? Yeah, these days they call it AI slop or something, right? Yeah. So
Yeah. So, at the end of the day, AI is going to create mediocre work. It's almost by design because it has learned from what is.
So why do we
existing.
want mediocre?
Yeah. So actually, I should not use the word mediocre. It would create predictable work. Right?
Sorry?
It would create predictable work.
Predictable.
Why?
Okay.
Because AI, by definition, predicts. It predicts the
Right.
next word, next pixel, whatever. Now, when we bring it in this context, right? It is true that if you give somebody a blank piece of paper and say, "Hey, what are your thoughts on this problem? Write a solution," they will do something. Now, that is one way. The other is, here's what AI produced. Now correct it. What happens is the mind gets pulled towards the bias of already written there.
AI written.
And then they have to critique it, right?
You mean the AI written stuff?
Yeah. So if you give an AI written stuff, then you say, now, there are probably a ton of errors in here. Now go correct this thing and make it to what it should be. You would think that is a easier task compared to, here's a blank piece of paper. Now write your solution. Now, what happens is when you give a blank sheet of paper, there's probably a lot of grunge work in writing the non-creative pieces. But in the other aspect, because you're giving a bias and you're saying AI says one so, and now you have to then second guess it. And
So what is the
correct it.
process by which we work?
There are. I think this would be very kind of case by case driven. First, we should think about how do we reward creative work.
Okay.
So, for example, today the way creative work is rewarded, is you wrote this many pages. Here is a payment for that. You drew so many pictures. So we pay by volume. Within the guardrails of an acceptable level of or whatever is the recognized level of quality. Now, the marginal cost of producing that has drastically come down because of AI. If I can create one such thing, then the cost for me to produce 100 such thing now is basically the cost of a prompt.
So it's like a Xerox machine.
It's not a Xerox machine. It's not giving the same exact thing.
Okay.
It is giving you something similar. So it is a creativity in the sense that it's not violating copyright, but the originality of a human thinker is something different.
Right.
The originality of a human thinker would be, for this subject producing this content, AI would not have thought, or not have quote unquote thought, I don't want to anthropologize it, this type of work, right? Now, when a human does that, then that human is showing true originality that remains valid in the age of AI. So that originality, we have to figure out a way to reward that instead of rewarding volume.
For creatives.
So from a incentive perspective, if we incentivize humans for their originality of thought rather than their volume of thought, that will
How do you understand which is human work and which I'll give you an example. Like, before coming to this podcast, I took your profile from LinkedIn. It would not allow me, Claude would not allow me to give the link only. It can't read LinkedIn. So I took screenshots and then I gave your entire profile to it. And then I said that, give me a brief bio. Now, when it did it, and it suggested an opening question for me, and it said, you moved from defense, telecom, fashion, travel, NBFC, startups. That was not the way in which you moved, but it made, you have done startups somewhere in between. And now you hold a PhD, but you held the PhD long time back.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
So it could not do that correctly. And when I looked at it, I was really disappointed.
Right.
I thought I'll ask my own question. So the question is, I have been in a pre-AI world, but there will be people who will be in a post-AI world. I mean, they have been born after AI. So are we making, remember that movie we saw in which Charlie Chaplin used to do a thing where he's constantly having. So, are we making that kind of humans now, or will it?
Even in the modern times.
Yes, in modern times.
Yeah.
Remember,
Yeah.
he saw a woman with a button and was about to.
So are we becoming slaves to the AI
Yes.
machine rather than the AI machine being our
Yes.
slaves?
Yes.
Right. I mean, yeah. I mean that would hopefully not be the future that awaits humanity. It should be the other way around, right? So
But
we should tame AI rather than AI taming
But
us.
how does that happen? Because I'm really concerned that tomorrow I will be like that. Or if I'm not that, if I have a grandchild sometime, the grandchild will continue doing that. So is that going to happen? Like, I can't think for myself. It's always AI. I'm asking AI about different things. Is that the future we are looking at? I mean, you are controlled by somebody and you don't even feel control because you think that that is helping you while you have lost your critical thinking ability. Is that what is happening or going to happen?
Right. For some aspects, that may or may not be the end of humanity. Like, for example, back in early 90s, if you wanted to go from point A to point B in a city you've never been, you'd open up a paper map, look up that address, there will be some great printer at the back. You would then look at it yourself and then say, okay, this is the map I'm going to follow. And then
It wasn't a bad thing.
Now, today, after so many years of using at first GPS and now standalone GPS, now Google Maps, we probably have lost those neurons. If today you are given a paper map, or at least people younger than us are given a paper map, they may find it difficult, right?
No, I have seen my father
Yeah.
knows how to go from one place to another in a way that I have never known. And I think now, whatever roads I knew earlier, I don't know it anymore. So, will people stop thinking?
Yeah. So that's an example of where we have basically outsourced a part of our thinking to AI. I mean,
Right.
in a broader sense, Google Maps is a form of AI in the broader definition of AI, not generative AI, right?
Yeah.
Similarly, I mean, even in our generation, we lost the ability to do long divisions beyond a certain point of time, right?
Yeah.
Now, that's not bad. If calculators did not exist and we had to do every long division by hand, yes, we would be really good at it, but we would not be able to do anything else.
Will we stop thinking?
Yes. So these are examples of chores that by handing them off to calculators and traveling salesman algorithms and stuff like that, we have actually made us capable of concentrating on things that matter. Right?
So AI
We
is
can do
equal
the
to
same thing with AI.
calculator?
So our machines are getting faster and are getting smarter and smarter, right? First there were calculators, then there were computers, then there was the ability to churn everything internet scale and do and give you, searches as back from your research paper and all that. And now you can even write a form of the research paper completely
Oh
with
my
AI.
God! Don't even start on that.
Yeah. No.
Don't even start on that because there are so many retractions that are happening and which are saying that this is completely AI generated. They are also making up humans. They're doing all kinds of stuff. But
Right.
the question is like, is AI a power for good? or is AI a power for bad for human civilization?
Mhm. So, no technology is either for good or bad. It depends on the humans how they use it.
Mm-hmm.
Is nuclear power a technology for good? Of course, I mean, probably some of these lights are being turned or are being, powered by that, right? Is it a power for bad? Yes, it had been in Japan, at least once. So it is at the end of the day. At the end of the day, see, there's one thing that I think as of now we haven't uh, created which is artificial constraints, right? So what is good, what is bad is not an outcome of intelligence. It is an outcome of conscience, an outcome of values, and that switch still lies with humans.
Great point. Absolutely great point. But I'm also interested, like, to understand, like, in your career, you said that you have used AI in some form. It was not called AI at that time. 20 notes, 25 notes for your undergraduate thesis in 93. And you're doing it right now with L&T Finance in 2026. So how has it been a force for good then with lesser computation and now with bigger computation, just as a power for good, for doing good to people? Can you give me some examples?
So, first, if you broaden the definition of AI, right, that includes things like machine learning algorithms. So, which basically means here is some historical data, like let's take L&T Finance. Here's some historical data on people who we have given loans, and here are a lot of their characteristics. Now, from that, today we have algorithms which can crunch them at scale and give us quote unquote rules, basically a set of algorithms with values generated by the machine itself, not coded by a human, that then says, when run on a new applicant for a loan, that okay, this particular applicant has these chances of going bankrupt, I mean going delinquent and not, and then we can then
So, how is it better than earlier systems that L&T Finance
systems. So let us say you look up somebody's credit record. That can easily run into hundreds of pages, especially for commercial loans and stuff like that. If you look at bank records, it's a series of numbers. It does not quite come to the human mind. This is a pattern to be read here that tells me that this is how this person's relationship is with money. So that underlying latent pattern, now it is much easier to bubble it up and use it to differentiate between better and.
So, suppose I am a person who has no credit history, okay, and I'm a first time, I'm a first literate in my family and with no credit history. Now, pre AI and post AI, do I have a higher chance of getting a loan from you?
Most likely the answer would be yes. And why it is so is now that we have AI, we can tap into data that are above and beyond the traditional sources of data, which is have you taken a loan before and repaid? Your setup of the problem, that is by definition not the case. So then a traditional lender would ask for guarantees, which in this particular case,
I won't
if
have.
they are the first earning member
First,
of the family,
yes.
doesn't have that, and so on and so forth, right? Now, come AI, and you're today existing in a connected world where a lot of the transactions that you're doing is over e-commerce, possibly with your phone, UPI, and other great
What about
things.
privacy issues then?
So, big, caveat that encompasses all of this. Every single thing that we do with any customer's data at all is always consented. We always get explicit consent, and we always operate within the bounds of that consent. We don't sell their information, all of that nice things. So that is,
So you
that is basically yeah,
privacy is not a concern.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean that's ethics, correct?
Right.
Uh-huh.
So then, I'm curious about one other thing. Like you have worked across the world and in different kinds of verticals, right? From fashion to telecom to defense industry. I mean, you have been in all kinds of, you had your fingers in all travel, right? So, and across geographies, right? You have worked in the US and then you have worked in Thailand, you have worked in India, separate stints. Now, when we teach, for example, in class, we teach theories, right? So, when you work as a professional, the theories, do you find them applicable in the practical world, the way you have been taught in class, whether it's Stanford or it's IIT or it's University of Tennessee?
So, there are some theories like the law of physics, which are obviously universally applicable. And then it gets murkier when you start going into, let us say, theories about the behavior of people.
Okay.
Economics, at its very core, ultimately models human behavior and human behavior with respect to money and so on and so forth. So that's where you start seeing different patterns of behavior when you compare, let us say, behavior with respect to credit in countries with deep experience of being in banked and credit available cultures, like the US, like most of Western Europe and Japan and so on and so forth.
India,
And-
is it different?
and if you compare that to India, where there is a fairly significant underbanked community, there is much lesser penetration of credit to
Theory
to the
works,
needy.
theory doesn't work.
Theories need to be changed.
Ah, wow.
So you have to. I mean, it's okay to start
When you
from it.
get somebody at a entry level,
Mhm.
are they equipped to change theories, understand theories, the theories that are taught to them in class, do they apply?
So this is where importance of critical thinking comes in, right? I actually have a few standard questions I ask in my
Don't
in
give
my
it away.
interview. Of course, I will not give it, but I have
Yeah.
seen this huge spectrum. By now, hundreds and hundreds, thousands of data points, right, of people who have scored differently in them and how they perform, and people who have shown the ability to critique and question are also ultimately
Do they
more
work better?
successful.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, more
They
successful.
work better if they can answer
Yes,
that
they
question.
can actually
Interesting.
solve problems
Better.
when it comes to them that is not canned and filtered and presented as some kind of a
So-
university exam.
So, for like you said, that our context is different, Indian context is different because the opportunities available here in terms of banking is different, right? So, you're saying theories have to come from here, right? So, I mean, theories have to be specific to this geography. Am I right?
So there are certain things, are universal among humans, right?
Like you said,
like
physics.
like the U.S. founding fathers put down that all men are created equal, men and women are created equal. Now, then there are some aspects which are the result of history, the result of culture, the result of upbringing, and understanding what are the cores, right, that remain the same, and what are artifacts that are learned in a different culture and then assumed as gospel
So-
truth, which need to be changed.
So this change that you are talking about, um, does that mean that Western theories don't work in India? Is that what you're saying? Or
Some Western
in global
theories work in
majority?
India, some need to be retooled.
So there are papers which say, and there are thoughts which says that people think that theory is Brahmin. I don't want to be casteist here, but theory is Brahmin, and people think that practice is Shudra. Again, there is no casteism here, but that is the idea, right? So you are basically it's hierarchical, is what they are saying. And now, in that context, if theory is not predominant and practice should determine theory, or theory should come from practice, in your organization or the organization that you worked in, what effort has been made in that direction, or if any?
So,
Do you write papers
yeah.
from what you learn so that academics like us can learn from it and teach it to the students?
Right. I mean, so there are a few publications from my group, and and a few more in the pipeline. So we, for example, have looked at how, in the Indian context, you can, which is inherently data deficient, can you understand geographical aspects of different neighborhoods, and sometimes all the way down to individual dwellings, and understand any signals that can give you hints on possible creditworthiness of somebody in a remote corner of India, or even in
So
in
you
the
do
densest of
publish, is what you are saying. Do you find it easy to
yes,
publish?
yes, huh?
Do you find it easy to publish? I mean,
Right.
as a practitioner of your caliber, I mean, you have a degree from Stanford, and so do you find it easy to publish when you could have taken the academic career, which you did not, and you went to practice? So I'm saying that, and you are saying that practice and academics is different because what works in the Western economy might not work here. Western theories might not work here. That is what you were saying. So, in that context, as a practitioner, whatever you are learning here in the field, do you find it easy to publish?
Right. So the question is, publish where? Right. So again, as it turns out, and it probably comes from theory being considered ivory tower sacrosanct. There is a tendency to not tendency, the publications that are considered respectable have traditionally, historically, for just happen to have their origins from Western origins, Western thinking,
Yeah.
Western editors, right? Now, when you look at a purely Indian problem, or perhaps not purely Indian, a problem that is far more prevalent in the global majority than it would be in the West. First of all, the problem may not even resonate enough for the editors to be able to understand and judge the true value of the work.
Right.
Now, that actually creates a little bit of a vicious cycle, which is that, forget us, even for Indian academics or academics all over the world, in order to get reputed publications, they have to address to editors who understand the problem they're
So
working on.
true.
Like
So
like
true.
like we have been working on this problem of identifying mule borrowers, or not borrowers of mules, but basically what I mean is borrowers who we call them shikangi. Basically,
Wow, what is
yeah.
that?
So this is, let's say you have a really bad. Let's say I have a really bad credit history, and you have a really good credit history, and I try to go buy something on credit, maybe a bike, maybe whatever, and I know that if I go myself, I would get declined because I kind of
You have a bad credit history.
I have bad credit, I miss payments and stuff like that. Now, let's say I ask you to be the borrower on record, and
Why would I be the borrower on your Godfrey?
so that is a subject of all the so on about how sociology differs. Social.
You mean a
social,
woman is asked to be the? Is it in a family
Sometimes
context?
it can be a woman. Sometimes it can also be a man.
But somebody
But
is
yes, but
not with a good
yeah,
credit.
but this isn't a problem. For example, that would resonate outside the practice that we see on the ground.
So people will not understand.
Right. I mean, this is.
So, do you take gender? I mean, are you allowed? Like here, I know in India, you're not allowed to ask somebody's caste. What is your caste? You're not. It's taken to be, violent. Basically, it's not allowed. So, are you allowed when you are asking for records, demographic records? Are you allowed to ask whether the person who is taking the loan, what gender the person has? Are you allowed to do that? Like gender is a variable, can you use that in your modeling? Is what I'm
Right.
asking.
So the traditional view is that machine learning models should be gender neutral, is so that they do not learn inherent bias. Actually, there's some work from my team that actually shows otherwise. But that said,
Otherwise,
that said, I think it is if you look at even how documentation is obtained and produced and processed in forget loan journeys, almost any journey in India or and several other countries, let's not this thing it that the journeys are not gender neutral. Like for example, greatest example is there are these KYC documentation, right, where there is a person's name, and then there is who is this person related to. Now, for a man, typically, who is this person related to would be referring to the father of the man.
yes.
Who is this person relating to for the woman would be either the father of the man or the husband of the man of the woman. Now, so it becomes either this or that. The interesting thing is the man would never have this man is the husband of this woman, right? What that means is that by design, journeys, including financial journeys, where KYC everything is done, is not gender neutral.
Absolutely. I can't agree more with you. So does it have, like gender not allowed, right? You should not be using it as a variable to decide whether you should give a loan or not, right? So does that work in India if you have to be more equitable, if you have to be more progressive, if you have to be more affirmative and give people who have been traditionally not given loans now, should you consider those variables, whether it's caste, whether it's gender, or you should not?
So there are certain regulations which have a lot of restriction on, and a lot of times very rightly so, on use of variables that can uniquely identify protected classes, right? Women being a protected class, racial, ethnic, caste, religion, belief, sexual identity, minorities, etc., etc. They're all protected classes, and it is a fact that if you take the fact that now why are they protected classes? Because social behavior is such that
traditionally, historically wrong.
Yeah, there are human biases that exist today.
Right.
Now, machine learning algorithm takes all the data of previous decisions, right? And so if you use it as is, then those human biases can creep into your model, which is a reason why the traditional approach is that just keep those variables out. And there are probably even certain compliance guidelines around that and all that. There's a different question, which is a little bit more academic, let us say, which is if your objective is ultimately to achieve a more equitable outcome rather than just blanketly saying that just don't learn your machine learning model using variables that uniquely identify a class. And when you're deploying not this no model, whether machine learned or rules based or whatever, is acting in isolation. It is acting with human actors. Both this.
So, are you saying that the KYC documents in India give away these protected classes identity in any case?
Well,
Not all, maybe gender.
so so these are anyway very visible characteristics, right?
Right.
So
So,
walk up to you, ask for a loan, you know whether that is a man or a woman. And, you know, even so, when there's a human in the field, they may carry their own biases with
right.
all that.
So, you are able to get the data, whether it's allowed or not. It's easy to get the data, even caste
In
data for
case
that
of
matter.
KYC, I believe it actually shows up in the document.
Okay.
I'm
So
not
the
completely sure, but I
question
think it
is
does show
that
up.
when you use gender as a variable in the machine learning models, is it
So-
able to give
Yeah,
the
so
protected
far,
classes
so
like
far we are not using gender as a variable in the machine learning models themselves. Um, there are many compliance angles to that. A different question is, and this is a little bit more an academic question rather than what Atlantic Finance is doing. Let's take that away completely, right? The question that I think the the entire practice has to think about is it most optimal given that a machine learning model, an AI model, is operating in an environment where there are human actors who anyway carry the discrimination in them, whatever is there, in spite of all the right trainings and stuff like that, which is always done. Is it best to have algorithms that are completely neutral of class identifying variables or not? Today there is a thesis that the most safest thing that you can do is the algorithms being neutral. Question is it possible? And again, I'm not talking about anything that we are doing, but is it possible to achieve a more equitable outcome on whichever protected class variable? It can be gender, it can be
So whether it is actually equitable or not.
yeah. So
And if you
yeah.
go and try and publish it, will it be easy to do it if the data is from a global majority data set?
I think this problem statement that I just described to you, the Shikandi problem statement, right? This is a
Shikandi meaning that the real person is not applying for the
correct.
loan, somebody else is.
Right. Now, what I've seen is that most editors would not even understand
The problem.
what exactly the problem is and why it is a problem and why the proposal has theoretical uniqueness. So you asked him originally about theory to practice. Apart from one aspect of it, which is which aspects of theory is developed in the West applies anywhere else or not, there's a different thing that's a huge body that is that gets neglected, which is that unique circumstances in this part of the world can give birth to unique theoretical problems
So true.
that are underserved in terms of the right set of theoretical minds
Yeah.
working on it, publishing it, and so on and so forth. And by the way, even that absence of enough theoretical minds working on it is present not only among researchers from all around the globe, but from even here in India, where those unique problems appear, because the academics who need to publish have their incentives tied to publishing in journals where the editors need to understand the problem that they are trying to solve.
Yeah.
And that's where a
Yeah. So and it's
opportunity
interesting
exists.
that you are talking about this in spite of being a practitioner who is not an academic and still have faced these issues as a practitioner, right? With training in world's best institute, even then you have understood this problem and realized this problem. So at that note, I think we are going to wrap this up. The discussion does not end. I mean, this discussion goes on, and maybe in our next episode we will get another speaker to speak on something similar. So with that, thank you so much, Debarag, for your time.
Thank you, Paromita. It was a pleasure.